So today we are going to learn about map, reduce, and filter. So map, reduce, and filter are all functions that can be found in the array. They all serve three different purposes. So let's start with map. So what map does, map is all about transforming data. So moving from one shape of the data to another one. So let's see an example of what I mean. Let's say that I have an array of names. I have Andrew, and I have Jose, and I have Josephine, and then I have Elise. Okay. So if I want to go from an array of strings to an array of objects, in which, for example, I have one property that holds the name and another property that holds the position at which the name was, I can use map, because I am mapping, I am transforming one data source to another one. Let's just call it map, names.map. Map is a higher order function. What that means is that it's a function that accepts another function as a parameter. So what do I pass in as a function? So the function that I pass in to map is the function that is going to be applied to each element of the array here. So I will apply a function, say name. We want to return, as we were saying, an object that has the name itself and the position at which the name appeared. So for example, I have to use the index. So name and index. So thanks to ES69 nice syntax, I can do it that way. And then I can console.log map. So we can execute that. And then as you can see, I get what I was looking for. So as you can see here, I have the name and the value. So for each of these elements, this anonymous function is being called. And the anonymous function says that I will return an object whose key is name, and also the value happens to be the name. So if you're not familiar with this syntax, let me just rewrite it in a slightly older syntax, and hopefully you'll see the difference. So let's call it all like older names dot map. So this one is a function that accepts a name and an index, and then here I have to return an object. The key is name, the value is the variable name. So this is the key and this is the value. So this one is actually this one. And index. So if I now log, okay, yeah, and I get the same result. This is slightly more verbose than the previous syntax. Every time you need to change the contents of one array from a format, from a representation to another, consider using map, because that's what map is all about, change. So we have another function that is the reduce function. So reduce works by starting from an array and then going to a single element. So this is the constraint of reduce, where map was changing the contents of the array, but was keeping the same length, the length the same. So as you can see, this is an array of 4 items, and here we have an array of 4 items. Reduce instead reduces the array to a single value. So let's say that you have an array of products, and you can have name, shoes, and price 10. And then we can have, I don't know, t-shirt, and the price is 15. And then you can have trousers, and the price is 25. And then you have a belt, which price is going to be 5. So we want to take the most expensive out of these items here. So what we can do is we can reduce the array to a single value, which is going to be the most expensive. So let's see how we do that. So we can call it most expensive, and then we can do products dot reduce. Reduce is a higher order function, as was map. So it's a function that accepts another function as an argument. So this time the function is going to accept 2 parameters, but they are going to be different than before. So before the first one is the accumulator, or the object that gets passed through the whole iteration. So this is actually usually it's called the accumulator. Let's draw. So let's make this example. So we're going through an array of products, and we have the accumulator. So what's the accumulator? The accumulator starts from a certain value and then gets passed through the iteration and gets either replaced or gets enriched by the iteration itself. So something gets added to it, some kind of value gets added to it. We will see an example on that later on. But what I mean with this is that it actually changes through the iteration while we go through the array. So let's see in this example. In this example, we are dealing with products, and we want to extract the most expensive. So we have a 10 there, we have 15, then we have 25, and then we have 5. So the first iteration, the objects, let's say that starts as an empty object. So we start from the empty object, then we compare it with the first element. So of course we're going to replace this with the one that has 10, because the previous one didn't have any value. We could have put 0 just to make things easier. Then this 10 is going to be compared with this 15 here. So is the price of the next item greater? Well, yes. So we use that one as our accumulator, as the object that we are propagating through the iteration. So we use that one, which is going to be 15. Then we compare with the 25 here. So is 25 bigger? Yeah, of course. And then we're going to use 25. So it gets propagated one more time. And then we compare it with 5. No, it's not more expensive. So a belt is not more expensive than a pair of trousers. So we're going to keep 25, and 25 is the result of the whole process. So let's see how we're going to use that. So as we were saying, reduce accepts 2 arguments. The first one is the accumulator. In this case, we can call it the most expensive. Okay. And the second one is the nth item. So at the first iteration is going to be this. Second iteration is going to be this. Third one, fourth one. And that's going to be the item, let's call it. So What are we going to do here? Well, we're going to compare the price of the most expensive item with the nth item. So what's the initial value of this? Well, we haven't put anything, so let's do it. We can just add something here, and to make things easier, as I was saying, we can add a price of 0. So most expensive at the first step of the iteration will be this. So we can say that most expensive dot price is well, let's do it the other way. So if price dot if item dot price is greater than most expensive dot price, then we're going to return item. Otherwise, we're going to keep most expensive. So this is just in case you're not familiar with this, this is the ternary operator. Another way you could write this is this way here. So with the if syntax. So if item dot price is greater than the price of the most expensive item, then what you're going to do, you're going to return item. Otherwise, we're going to return most expensive. We don't actually need the else here since we have a return here, because if we enter in this if, then we're going to exit returning, so provides no value using an else there, so we can forget about it and do it this way. I prefer using the ternary operator, so which is why I'm going to keep that, but this is also valid. Let's see it in action. So log console.log most expensive. So we can comment this to out. We can go here and do it again. So the most expensive is going to be the trousers. Yeah, as we were saying. So one other example that you usually see about reduction, about the reduce function is getting the total out of an array of numbers. That's really easy to do with reduce. So you can do it even in, I'll do it in a one-liner. You can do, for example, so what's the sum of the first 6 elements? Well, that's the reduction. This is the total. This is the nth number. And this is the sum. So what's basically going to happen, and of course we have to start somewhere, so we start from 0. So what's going to happen is that you're going to go through the array and you're going to return at each iteration, you're going to return the partial sum. So at the beginning you have 0, 0 plus 1, 1. Then second iteration, you're going to have 1 plus 2, that's 3. Third is the iteration, you have 3, plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10, and so on. You should get 21 out of it. And we get 21. So this is not particularly interesting, so we can make it just a bit more interesting. So let's say, for example, that you on your website you have to return the total amount of items in your cart. So this could be your cart, and you have to return the total of those items. Well, as we did before, we're going to use reduce. So products dot reduce, and we're going to have a total and then an item, and then we can say that that item dot price plus total is going to be the total. We start we start with something like this, so that's nice and easy. And if we now log total, we should see Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, we get. So it's 10, 25, 50, 55. Okay, yeah. So you have to start from, of course, you have to start from 0. So as you can see, reduce is also, in a way, destroying, well, no, let's not say destroying, because it's not actually changing the products array, but it is changing the nature of our data structure, because we're going from an array to a number. The last function that we're going to talk is the filter function. So let's make use of our products array, and we're going to add, I don't know, on sale boolean property to it. So totally random. This is going to be also on sale. This is also going to be false, and on sale this is going to be true. So we want just items that are on sale. So filter reduces the length of the array, giving you only those items that match with a predicate that you pass to the filter function. So a predicate is a function that either returns true or false. So we're going to pass a function to the filter function, which is again a higher order function. And we're going to pass it a function that returns true if it is on sale, false otherwise. So let's do that. On sale equals products2. Let's call it products2 just because I already called it products. Oops, once. So this is going to be filter, accepts a function which has just one parameter, which is the nth item, and item.onSale. So if item is on sale, this is going to return true. So the anonymous function is going to return true, and then the filter function knows that it has to add that element to the return array. Okay, so let's see it working, and then we have on sale. Let's comment this line and this line here, and we're going to run. So we're going to return just the two items that are on sale. Of course, if we want to return the items that are not on sale, we're just writing what we're saying, items not on sale. And so we have t-shirts and trousers. Okay, but what I would like also to do is shed some light on how these functions are working. So let's implement them ourselves. Let's work on the reduce function, which is one of the, well, I believe it's the most interesting of the three. So we will write an implementation of that ourselves. So the reduce function is of course a function that accepts two parameters. Let's say the first one is the array, and the second one is the reducer. Okay. So how does it work? An array, a reducer, and an initial value. We can call it init. So how does this work? We're going to loop through the array. So this is the usual stuff. So we're just going to loop through every item, and we're going to call the reducer. The reducer is going to be called passing the accumulator and the nth item. So we're going to do just that. We're going to call the reducer with the accumulator, which is going to be the init, and the nth item. The nth item is array.I. So this is the reducer being called. But what do I do with it? What's the result? Well, I just need to update the init, and then what do I do? I just return init. Of course, you can, if you want, we can call it accumulator, just to be consistent with what we were doing before. So let's call it accumulator, and then we can use it as before. We can do the same thing that we did here. So we can call reduce, and we can pass the array products. Then we're going to pass in an anonymous function. I'm just going to pass in a fat arrow function, which is going to accept accumulator, and then the nth item is going to be just item. And what am I going to do with those? I am going to do the same thing as we did before. So if item.price greater the DAC price, then return item, otherwise return ACK. And then the starting value, price 0. Closing the parentheses, assigning this to a variable, most expensive, let's just call it like that. Sorry, I have an error here. Let me just fix that. Okay, yeah, I missed a parenthesis. I used an extra parenthesis there. And then I can just console.log most expensive here. Okay. So I can comment this out. Of course it doesn't work. Yeah, because here I made a silly mistake. And you get the most expensive item. So this is how the functions are working. Well, this is a possible implementation of how they are. It's nothing really fancy happening inside. Yeah, that's basically it.